Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. Today we are going to be assembling this Busy Bee clutch bag envelope that we have available in our shop. The link for that will be down in the description box below. And to get started, I'm just going to take the basic pieces and the little ephemera bits that come with it and just go over it with some distress ink in the color tea dye. And then I'm also going to be rounding the corner of some of the ephemera pieces. You don't have to do this, it's totally optional. But I'm going to be using them to cover one of the main core pieces that go with the journal. We're going to be layering them so that they have space here, here, and here. And that is going to allow us to attach them with brads so that they swing freely. And then these background pieces I'm just going to attach with some glue. And it doesn't matter which pieces you use. I tend to use smaller ones in the front, larger ones in the back, but you can use them however you want. And now that I have everything laid out, I'm going to be taking a micro hole punch and punching a hole through the base piece here right in the corner where we left a space, just like that. And then using this piece we are going to use a pencil and just mark where our hole is on our tiny piece of ephemera and poke a hole through that as well. And then using a brad, we are just going to secure these two pieces together, just like this. Flattening it down in the back, and then it should be able to swing just like this. And you can use these to tuck little ephemera pieces in, or like write a little note on the back, or hide a note in here, however you want to use it. Or you can just leave them to be sort of a free moving piece, just to add a little bit of interest to your clutch. So going in with the micro hole punch and adding a few more pieces here, doing the same thing, just poking a hole, adding a brad, and there you go. Just a cute little fun piece to add a little bit of movement to your clutch. Alright, so we can go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to be using FABRI-TAC glue. And moving on to this centerpiece here, we are going to be hiding a little bookmark behind it. So I'm going to be using this brown paper envelope that I had, and this little tiny manila envelope thing. It's like a coin envelope or something. And I will have links for these down in the description box below as well. And I'm going to be using the base piece to measure. I want this little bookmark to be smaller so that it hides behind it, so we can tuck it behind it. So I'm just going to be making it a little bit smaller than the actual pocket itself width-wise. I would even go a little bit smaller than I did here, just because I found that it was a slightly tight fit when I was all done. And then we are going to measure the height, again a little bit smaller than the pocket itself. Just like this. There should be space on the top, bottom, and sides. Maybe a little more than 1/4 inch. And then using that little brown piece we made to cut the other one, same thing, just a little bit smaller than the main bookmark piece, just like this. Again, having some space on the top, bottom, and sides. And then I have this little honeycomb fussy cut that I'm going to be using to decorate with. This doesn't come with the kit, it's part of another kit that I will have linked down below. And with that same fussy cut kit, there are these little bees that I'm going to be adding. And then I'm taking some journal words. I think these are actually from the Books and Wildflower kit, maybe. I just had some laying around. You can use whichever ones you want or make your own. It's totally up to you. And I'm just going to be gluing those on top of the honeycomb but behind the bees just to add a little bit of a layering effect. And now that that is done, it should be fitting perfectly behind your pocket. And I'm going to go ahead and create a tab so that it's easier to pull out of the little hidden pocket. So I'm just going to be grabbing a spare piece from when I printed all of these out. This paper comes with the kit. And I'm going to just punch a little hole. I think this is a 2-inch punch, I think. And glue that down behind on the back. And then I thought the back was kind of plain, so I decided to decorate it as well. So taking this scrap I had from the Books and Wildflower kit, I'm just going to be tracing around the bookmark and gluing that down. And from here, I'm going in with some of that tea dye distress ink, just really heavy-handed on the circle and the sides. And then taking some sunflower fussy cuts, I will be decorating the back with those. Just like this. And then cutting out a smaller, I think this is the 1-inch punch, same paper, just slightly different section from it. And I'm going to cut it in half and glue it down to a scrap from the brown envelope that we used earlier to make the bookmark. And I'll just be cutting out a little bit of a border for the piece here. And this paper is a little bit thicker, so it adds a little bit of stability. Doing the same thing with the front. And this is what it looks like when it is finished. It should just fit right behind the pocket like so. And now we can go ahead and work on the pocket itself. We're going to be making like a little notepad. So just taking a bit of notebook paper that I have here, I'm going to be folding it in half and then folding it in half again so that it fits. And then taking some scissors, we're just going to cut along these folds. And once you have those, I'm going to be taking some of that distress ink, again in tea dye, and going over the edges, as well as using a distresser to distress the edges. This is a Tim Holtz distresser. We will have a link to that down in the description box as well. And then punching some holes so that all the pages match. All right, and now we are ready to do the assembling. So we're just going to stack it on top of the pocket here, just trying to get them all lined up. And then I'm going to be taking a little bit of this lace-ish ribbon that I have, and I'm going to be sewing it down, and that'll hold all of these pages in. So this is what it looks like when it is all sewn together. I just used black thread because that's what was in the machine. And now we have like a little flip book for writing. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and you want to keep the glue as close to the edges as possible to give you like enough room to tuck the bookmark in. So we're just doing the sides and the bottom. And now your bookmark should be able to slide behind it. Again, mine was just like a little bit wide, so it still fit, and the more, you take it out and put it back in, the more it'll sort of makes its own room. But if you cut yours just a little bit thinner, it'll probably slide in a little bit easier. All right, so that is that section finished. And I did add these pearls, but I took them off later because they were a little too thick, so you can ignore that. So starting with this next part, we're going to take the pocket with the scalloped edge, as well as this brown paper. This is actually meant for like wrapping food. It's like a waxy paper. I'll have a link for it if you want to use it. You don't have to, it's just what I had, so I grabbed it because I thought it was kind of cute. And I'm just going to be tracing that pocket edge and cutting out this piece here. I folded it in half and then folded it again, so that it gives you sort of this like quartered edge, this mirrored edge. And I'm just going to add a little glue, gluing that edge down on both sides and then cutting them in half and gluing the open edge shut. I've done this a couple of different times and I seem to do it different every time. I don't know if I really have a standard method, but this is how I did it for this one. Just going to glue those edges shut, and then taking a little bit of glue down the center here, we are going to glue these one on top of the other, just sort of stack them. And then doing the same thing, adding a bit of glue in the center, and then adding the scalloped pocket on top, just like this. And this will give you 2 pockets, but I decided I wanted a few more, so I just did the same process, cutting out 2 more pockets, just like this. Again, gluing them on top of each other and then adding them to the stack. And I added a dot of glue in the corners as well, just to help it hold. And now you should have like this little accordion style wallet here, this little pocket. And just adding glue to the back, we are going to glue it down. Just like so. And then I have this scrap piece of paper. I'm not 100% sure which kit this is from. I will try to find it and put a link down below if I can. And I'm just going to be tracing around this like decorative script edge and going in with that Distress Oxide in the color tea dye and gluing that down to just cover that white. And then using these like little ruler pieces that come with the Busy Bee clutch bag, I'm just going to cut them to fit along with some of that lace and glue them down. All right. And I'm going to be adding this little paper button that I made. I just punched out one of the decorative pieces of paper I had, and I add this little pearl. Again, I end up replacing it later just because it made the wallet a little too thick when I closed it. So just going over it with some Distress ink and gluing that down for now. And then taking some of these scrap pieces of paper, I'm just going to be cutting out a couple of pieces to use as like little notes to fill the pockets. So going over that again with the Distress Oxide and tucking those into the little pockets that we made. And you can use anything to fill these. You can write some handwritten notes or use ephemera pieces. I just decided to use these like little homemade letters for now. Just like so. All right, now we can go ahead and move to the cover real fast. Just taking this piece that comes with the clutch kit and gluing that to the front. Of course, you can make this a pocket if you want or something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and glue it straight down. And I had a few pieces left over from the kit and I wanted to use everything, so I'm just going to be gluing them to the very back of our notebook flip here. And taking one of the spare pieces, just going to glue it down to one of those little letters that I made. And now we can go ahead and add the front clasp buttons. So it already comes with these little buttons that you can use. I just went ahead and added some of those like peach colored pearls that I had to them to make them a little more decorative. And I also ended up replacing the pearl on the inside with just a like punched out piece of paper that I had, and I went over it with some Distress ink to make it darker and just glued that down. And moving back to the cover, I'm just going to cut a little bit of puff tape to secure these little button clasps to the front. Just like that. And then taking a bit of twine, I am going to be wrapping it around to close it. All right, and this is what it looks like when it's finished. Just gonna do a little flip through here. Have these little moving pieces over here. Again, you can tuck things behind there if you want. Got a little flip book to write in, the bit of decoration on the back, as well as our hidden bookmark here. And then we've got our ephemera wallet. And there you go. That is going to finish today's video. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye!